Okay, here we go. Welcome everybody. If you are an advisor that knows you could help potential clients that you meet with, but you're just not winning the amount of business that you know you should following these discovery meetings, then today's conversation is for you because the fact is many advisors are leaving business on the table because of some common mistakes during the discovery process that we're going to talk about today. I am joined by Chris Holman, who is the executive coach at Horse's Mouth and one of the leaders of the upcoming Discovery Meeting virtual workshop, which is coming right up September 8th and 9th. And in this workshop, Chris uses insights learned from extensive research gathered from advisors in the field to help participants identify what's not working in their discovery process, what is, and how to improve things so that success rates will go up. You can learn more about the workshop at horsesmouth.com/discovery. And Chris is also the author of an upcoming book on the topic called Discovery Shift that all workshop attendees are going to get a copy of. Chris, thank you for being with me today. Now, you've coached hundreds of advisors. What made what made the light bulb go off and realize that, something is missing in the way that most advisors approach discovery meetings?
Doug, thank you. I've been looking closely at discovery meetings for the past 5 years, and I noticed a pattern. Even the best advisors, the most experienced, were treating discovery like a fact-finding mission, a checklist, yes and no questions. And what struck me with this pattern was how often prospects would respond with surface level answers. Uh, we were asking the right questions, or questions anyway, but they weren't really creating space. The questions weren't creating space for people to reveal what actually matters to them. So this workshop was born out of that realization that discovery isn't just about extracting data, it's about inviting people in.
Okay, so I know you've used words like competent to describe the discovery meetings of many advisors. Competent but forgettable, right? Another word that you've used. So, what makes a meeting unforgettable in your eyes?
So, from what I've seen, many, if not most, discovery meetings are good enough to move things forward a bit. But unforgettable meetings move people. They expose what actually matters and unlock a level of clarity that changes not just what the client decides, but how they see themselves in that choice.
Hmm, interesting. So obviously we have the discovery meeting workshop coming up September 8th and 9th. Who is this meeting? Who is this workshop, for? What kind of advisors do you think can stand to benefit most from attending?
Sure. It's for advisors who are already pretty good at what they do, but who feel like something is missing. They're not chasing another script, another sales trick. See how I use that word? They're asking bigger questions. How do I build trust faster? How do I lead a conversation that actually changes something? So, if you're serious about growth, about doing work that's both effective and meaningful for both you and the prospect, this workshop is for you.
Okay, and let's kind of flip that, look at the other side of the coin. Who is this workshop not for?
It's not for everyone. And honestly, if you're looking for a quick script or a plug and play checklist, this is not the workshop for you. We go beneath the surface, the workshop does. It's designed for advisors who want to change how they think, not just what they say. And if you're not curious, if you're not open to seeing things differently, the workshop probably won't land.
Okay, well, you've spent a lot of time, I think over 100 recorded advisor meetings you've looked at and analyzed. So from all that time looking at all those advisor meetings, what stood out to you? What was there anything that, really surprised you through their time spent doing that?
Doug, right. We've recorded more than 100 discovery meetings between advisors and prospects. And what stood out wasn't what advisors said, it was what they didn't say. And I was really surprised by how often the emotional drivers were left alone. Clients would drop clues about their fears, their uncertainty, their motivation, and advisors would simply nod their head and move on. And not because they didn't care, I don't think, but because they didn't know how to follow that thread. And that's one of the real reasons why we're doing the workshop. We want to close the gap between what I simply described.
Okay, so that I mean that sounds like a big blind spot. Were there any other, blind spots that you saw, even among, the experienced advisors? Because you were looking at discovery meetings from very experienced advisors, and many would say very successful advisors. So, what blind spots did you see even in these cases?
So many advisors believe they're asking good questions. But when we look closer, many of the questions were actually closing the conversation, not opening it. They were framed to confirm, not to explore. And that was one of the really consistent blind spots, not realizing that the way you phrase a question determines what's possible in the answer.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about some of the mistakes, some of the blind spots that you've seen, but what's different about the approach that advisors are going to learn in the discovery meeting workshop compared to, a typical sales or discovery training, an approach that they might be currently using?
So the typical training that I've seen, it starts with tactics, what to ask, when to pivot, how to close. This workshop is different. We start with purpose. Why are you asking that question? What are you really trying to unlock? We're not handing out scripts. We're sharpening instinct because great discovery isn't about control, it's about connection.
Okay, well, if you had to give us, one thing, one shift in mindset or behavior that can really have, an outsized impact on how a potential client experiences a meeting, what would that one mindset shift be or behavior?
Here's one simple thing: take a breath, stop rushing through to get your questions, and start giving the client permission to linger on theirs. When you slow down and hold space for uncertainty, for emotion, or even silence, people stop performing, I'll use that word, and start revealing. And that shift alone can change the whole feel of the meeting.
So, okay, talking about shifting the feel of the meeting, maybe you could talk a little bit more about what it does feel like, both from the advisor perspective and the potential client perspective, when that meeting does become more than just a fact-finding session.
I'll start on the client side or the prospect side. It often feels like relief. Like finally, someone is listening to me. On the advisor side, it's, I'll say, feeling alive. You're not just gathering data, you're actually helping someone with something that matters. And that's what makes the meeting unforgettable. We'll use that word again. It stops being a task and starts becoming a turning point.
Okay, well, again, you do have your discovery meeting workshop. It's coming up September 8th and the 9th. Let me put that link there on screen for everybody to find out more if you're interested. Now, somebody's watching and they're feeling like, their discovery meetings are, they're fine, right? They're fine. They're fine. They're doing okay. We've often encounter advisors in this type of situation in their career overall, they're doing okay. They're doing fine. They're enough to be comfortable. So they think they're doing fine with their discovery meetings. What would you say to them?
If your meetings are fine, if you're feeling your meetings are fine, the air quotes there, I'd ask, fine for who? For you because you got the answers you wanted, or for the client because they walked away feeling seen, feeling more clear about what matters to them? Sometimes fine is simply another word for just good enough or just barely good enough. And most advisors I know don't want to settle for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's one thing, what's one thing that someone will walk away from the workshop with that could totally change the trajectory of their client relationships?
Doug, they'll leave with a new perspective, a way of seeing the meeting not as a checklist to complete, but as a moment to earn trust. And that one shift, I think, reframes everything. It affects the questions you ask, the way you listen, and the way clients respond. And that shift deepens relationships.
Okay. So that and some other things you've said have kind of reinforced, the why, the benefits of working on your discovery approach. But for people who are on the fence, what would you say is the cost of not doing this kind of deeper work?
Doug, I'd say one thing, a number of things, but let me emphasize one point. The cost is relevance. Clients today can find information anywhere. We all know this. What they're looking for is someone who gets them, who can help them think through what they can't find on Google. If you're not doing that kind of work, you become replaceable. And in this business, especially today, that's a risk you can't afford.
Very, very true. Okay, so once again, let everybody know. Go to horsesmouth.com/discovery to learn more about the workshop and sign up. We'd love to have you there. And to close, Chris, I just thank you for your time today.